who looks like a mashup of late 80s and 70s Andre the Giant. And then there's his girlfriend, who's this tiny little water nymph. I don't know if this is a not safe for work podcast, but my immediate thought was, he is going to destroy that girl once she's out of that game. Like, this guy, he's like 8 foot tall. He's monstrous, like, and this is terrible, but I was like, oh, she better have strong hands.
It's literally like they're at a robotics convention, and it's like, look at these things I built. The boy kills things, and the girl cleans. I put boobies on a Roomba.
I'm married to them both.
Oh, God. Dr. Light, you're a monster.
Visited by the ghosts of Christmas future, past, and present, they just sucked him into the trap with the proton packs,
which was genuinely funny.
Like Scrooge, he's free of the Christmas ghosts, and when the Ghostbusters leave to go back into the portal to bring them back to New York, he goes, "I'll finally wage war on Christmas." And I was like, holy shit, the actual war on Christmas that radicalized old people talk about.
So yeah, coming back to this show as an adult, I was kind of taken back at how much Link is a catcalling, misogynistic piece of shit.
Oh, he's such a dick.
He really is.
He's very single-minded, which is...
Yeah, he's like, well, I defeated Ganon, so Princess Zelda, show me your tits. It's like, what the fuck? What am I watching now?
It's like a weirdly puritanical, like, catcalling, because he's just like, yeah, I just want to kiss. Yeah, and again, it doesn't happen until you're halfway through the rest of the episode, like, literally halfway.
Yes.
To be fair, okay, nobody fucking asked for Sonic Spinball. Alright? So it's not like, for the most part, the kids are back at home going, where's the Spinball? Because, again, nobody wanted it. Nobody was like nobody played Sonic the Hedgehog and went, this would be so much better if there was loads of flippers. It's like you could go play Crew Ball anyway, which is a better game.
Like we discussed on the episode. It came out in the same year. I think a couple years before, actually.
I think Knack the Weasel's pretty cool. I like his design, like his angular tail. I think he looks pretty dope. They're just cool looking characters. What is it with the 90s and weasels? Was it Roger Rabbit? Is that why weasels were like a thing? Because I remember like kids thinking weasels were cool. Like a lot of kids got ferrets at this time.
Ferret acquisition was on the rise. So
ferret acquisition
could have been. That could have been up there. I don't know. Minerva
I just bought 50 shares of ferret acquisition futures.
That Robotnik ice skating when he's figure skating is something to witness and so surreal. I kept going back and doing it and making other characters who are not graceful do those poses and just laugh my ass off. Yeah. And it was a really easy game to play. I didn't realize watching Wario skate to Ave Maria would bring me to tears. That was the best part.
Rayman, the animated series, lasted a total of 1/6 of a season. The genre falls into whatever Rayman is. Thank you, John, for that.
Well, I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
I want to say disposable humor, where it's like, don't worry about this, just watch it. And,
disposable definitely sums up this cartoon.
The game was released in 1993 in Japan and 1994 in North America, and the Sony PlayStation was released December 3rd, 1994. And this game came out for the Nintendo Entertainment System. So while everyone was getting excited with their Edge Gaming magazine to look at Lara Croft's trapezoid cleavage, Capcom was releasing yet another Mega Man game for the NES.
To be fair, again, going back to that environmentalism kick, if you're a plant, not a bad idea. But what did make me laugh, and I'm kind of jumping forward here a little bit, but as far as the actual show goes, but to your point, the idea of selling things, what made me laugh was how the dad, he mixes up chemical X and chemical Y in with some roots or whatever, and some radiation from the sun comes in and turns these plants into like super beings like within seconds.
Yes.
But what's funny is he just goes, like, without even blinking, he just goes, "Be careful, the monster mines are evil." And I was going, he branded them straight away. like this man was on the ball, Should have been working for Apple.
Right. Now, here's where Omni Consumer Products messed up, because the idea was they didn't want to pay for police. They wanted to have robotic cops or robo-cops. Mm-hmm. What they didn't account for was the expense they would have with baby food. Now, baby food is very expensive. They were probably better off just keeping the cops on the payroll instead of making robo-cops that they had to feed baby food to. Take it from me. I'm a parent. John, please continue.
Well, I mean, they could have done the Mad Max route and just fed him cat food.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, 70 minutes into the film and there was still no Skeletor. And I'm like, we've already gone through like 3 endings already. When is Skeletor showing up? But when he did show up, I was like, I like Skeletor over Hordak. Like, Hordak is very like, I'm running an evil empire. I got my stormtroopers, my commanders. This is my fortress. We're putting our foot on a rebellion. And Skeletor is like, I like to mess things up. He's like a gang. He's just running a gang of mischief makers. He's calling everybody boob. I don't know.
Like, she's
but I think that's so. I think it's intentional. I don't think we're supposed to like Adora.
But the reason I disliked her more than anything was of the character of Bo, who was brought back into this, where he's like, "Oh, you're just the greatest princess ever. Your powers are so great, and your house is so great, and I love your hair, and let me smell your farts." It's like he's a complete simp. Whose idea was it to make a fucking cartoon about the lamest Star Wars characters? I mean, everybody liked R2-D2 because he was this kind of little tough rubbish bin. C-3PO is like literally the worst character in Star Wars.
Everybody hates it. He's designed to be disliked.
He's like this ultra sub robot. Yeah, I was saying they should have renamed him to S1M9 because he's just a big fucking simp for every human.
And he hops on his galactic space squid creature, who I guess forgot him or something. Like they were, he had to like beat him into submission first.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, my old friend," and the octopus is like, "I don't give a fuck about you," and Monstar's like, "Let me remind you," and like,
the octopus said, "Hey man, any Japanese women around?"
Not this again! And he punched him in the head.
"This is the last time you make me watch La Blue Girl."
One thing that can't be underwritten, in my opinion, is the impact that Bryan Singer's X-Men had on comics. Like, the era of the leather suit brigade. Yeah. Enough of that nonsense. Like, I hate that look where they're just like, "Hey man, fucking spandex is for dweebs, alright? These X-Men here, they fuck."
But it looks like all 3 of us really dug this music.
I absolutely loved it. It's that classic pop Sega tune, so theatrical and over the top. You're keeping dreams alive, you're feeling the sunshine, there's diamonds in the sky, you're traveling back in time. I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. That was like the saving grace of this game for me.
Yeah, these are like, some of these are practically ballads. Like, these songs could probably get you laid if somebody didn't know the context.
I'm going to play these jams for Mrs. Graphic later. A winter sequel that was called Winter Heat 2. Both of those are very classic Sega arcade games. Mm-hmm. Also, if you remember Sports Jam on the Dreamcast. Do you guys remember that?
I didn't play either of those games. And you're the only person I know in real life that bought a Saturn.
What's in real life? You think I would do sports on a video game?
Well, don't throw sports at me.
I'm the only person you know owned a Saturn.
You're the only person in real life that I know that got a Saturn, like, as a child. I know plenty of people who bought it.
I was so psyched for that Saturn.
John, what is the plot of Mega Man X?
Same shit, different decade. It's Mega Man, but it's edgier. Where it's like, yeah, there's monsters and robots out there you gotta defeat, and one of them probably does heroin.
Oh boy,
because it's grunge time.
Now that I've gone down the rabbit hole and saw all these different connections about Conker and Banjo existing within the Donkey Kong Country universe, at least on the rare side, maybe I'm wrong. I don't dislike any of these other characters, but I certainly was like, why not just go full Donkey Kong Country and have all of the Kongs that Rare created in it? You know, characters like Dixie and Funky and Candy and Bilbo and Mo and the dumb baby one.
There's some kind of interesting notes here. Mainly, originally, there was a character called Mad Maxine who was going to be debut in the cartoon and then be brought to the wrestling show.
Right.
And Mad Maxine was a trainee of Fabulous Moolah who took her place in the cartoon and in the ring because Fabulous Moolah is what scientists would call a cunt.
They looked very much like the LJN figures to me.
Yeah, they kind of were based on them, I suppose. The Andre figure was famously, he looks like he's taking a shit. Because they needed him to fit inside a standard blister bubble.
Right.
So his knees had to be like bent really.
He's squatting to make boom boom in his diaper.
Yeah. Which is a famous story about Andre. There's plenty of Andre shit stories. I won't tell them because I know Kyle doesn't like fun. It's the whole thing is disturbing because Candy Kong's skin makes me want to puke because she's got like this kind of coconut fur.
Yeah.
Skin, but she wears clothes over it, and I could just feel the static electricity coming off her. And she shaves Donkey Kong's head, and like the kind of tufts on top of his head, that's not hair, that's the shape of his fucking horrifying skull.
Until Cranky Kong shows up with his disgusting lips. I don't know what it is about his model. Just something about Cranky Kong's lips really was off-putting to me.
Oh yeah, well, when his mouth opens, it's cavernous in there.
Yeah.
He could fit like 10 dicks in there.
Why? Why?
That's how you measure the size of a mouth, Kyle, okay? You measure a mouth by the volume of dicks it can take.
Oh, God.
A winter sequel that was called Winter Heat 2. Both of those are very classic Sega arcade games. Mm-hmm. Also, if you remember Sports Jam on the Dreamcast. Do you guys remember that?
I didn't play either of those games. And you're the only person I know in real life that bought a Saturn.
What's in real life? You think I would do sports on a video game?
Well, don't throw sports at me.
I'm the only person you know. I'm the only person you know owned a Saturn.
You're the only person in real life that I know that got a Saturn, like, as a child. I know plenty of people who bought it.
I was so
after
psyched for that Saturn.
Well, the majority of the plot mainly concerns Mr. Freeze, which I'm sure he has to deal with a lot, you know, when he's like applying for stuff. He's like, no, it is my real name. It's not just a gimmick. Shouldn't he be Dr. Freeze?
I guess so, yeah. Well, yeah.
Maybe.
He's a scientist.
It's just not as cool. Good, though. No, it's not as good.
Yeah. I'm a practicing gynecologist in need of more practice.
Didn't Lucas say something like that about Howard the Duck? That like if he could destroy every copy, he would.
Sorry, I just think of George Lucas going, "What's the matter? You don't like Howard the Duck? It's got practical effects. You wanted those, didn't you?"
Imagine being Leah Thompson. Be like, all right, so here's the sex scene you're gonna have with the duck. No, I'm not. Yeah, we rewrote the script. You're gonna have sex with this duck. No, I am not doing that.
They wouldn't say that now, Kyle, would they? They go, you rewrote the script. You're gonna fuck the duck.
This weird amalgamation of children's game show and also variety show. I watched a lot of these things as a kid. Did you, Keith?
This just reminded me of Bozo, which I didn't really watch a lot.
Keith, how old are you?
What up,
Bozo
Kyle?
the Clown? Was that? Did they bring back Bozo the Clown in the 90s? And
I think in the 80s, 90s, there was a more modern color version of Bozo.
Oh, did he wear
Clown?
leather pants?
He was in Image Comics.
And with that plan, Dr. Robotnik's going to take over the world by having everybody, instead of him giving gifts, they're going to give gifts to him. And I think that's his whole plan. I haven't figured out what else his goal was. That seems
dumbest
to be it.
fucking plan.
That's it.
Why steal
so
things
dumb.
when you could have people stimulate the economy and give you things?
I guess.
But if this is 1996, it means that Robotnik's plan is he's going to sit in a palace with nothing but Tamagotchis and Beanie Babies. And that's his like ultimate plan to take over.
Like, because there's so much content crammed into every second of the show.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of strangeness in there.
Yeah, well, they have to get to dropping the chicken.
Drop a chicken!
They do. I think that's the thing. She goes, drop a chicken, and then goes, and I'm gonna go, did she just fuck with me or something? You know, and then like, you know, King from Tekken is doing backflips.
I didn't make the connection. God damn it.
The one that comes to mind for me is the Folgers incest commercial. But he comes home and the sister's like all glad to see him, and like there's just a couple seconds of fuck me eyes in the kitchen when he's smelling the coffee, like, oh, finally real coffee. And then she like slaps the bow on him. It's like, you're my present. And then the parents come down and break it up, and it's the classic blocky Folgers letters.
Shit coffee.
And then she gets stuck in the dryer. Wait, I might have watched that video on something else. I
was gonna say, I think you and I watched the same video. I think that's the same one.
Grinder's got the clap in his cheeks in town. What else we got here?
Ooh, that booty in this episode, man. Whoever drew this really loved butts.
Yeah.
Grounder had quite.
He's got that
the
donk.
rounder.
He's got the pounders.
And then in another scene, he didn't have it at all. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yeah. It was
the
like,
line moves.
there it is
You
and it's
see
gone.
the line. Yeah, it's like he gets it and then it goes away and then it comes back and it goes.
That's when the USA
It was
exec
great.
walked into the animation office. This makes Christmas Comes to Pac-Land look like a masterpiece.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you gotta see it, because the ghosts get real horned up with Pac-Man when they talk about rubbing chocolate all over his body.
Oh yeah, it gets kinky, man. It's a.
Do you need a credit card to watch it?
No.
Can I watch it scrambled on channel 97?
Spice.
If I squint hard enough.
Spice! These references are for all the 40-year-olds listening right now.
I'm not
Basically,
40
yes.
yet, man.
I got a
Please.
couple months.
I am 40.
I don't want to talk about it.
Look, man, I'll tell you all about the origin of my nickname, but not until we get about 3/4 through this episode. Then, when the tension is really high, then I will explain the story about my mortal enemy, Steve.
And it's funny you brought up tension, Keith, because this show had all the trappings, vibe, and tension of a gay porno about to break out.
Oh, no!
But instead of entering one another, they enter the battle zone. We're talking WMAC Masters. Knuckles can swim as well, glide, and climb on walls.
Wait, they can swim?
I'm gonna guess you only played as Sonic.
Yeah, I played through as Sonic. I test drove everybody else at the end, but only on Neo Green Hill, so I didn't actually get anywhere. I guess that's what I get for being lazy. Also, Knuckles can fist, punch,
fists
whatever,
a lot.
same thing. Yeah. He's got like a little 3-hit combo. Tails can use his tails as a melee strike as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and Amy just sucks. I'll ask you this, of the two series of two, which would you rather revisit, the Drift series or the Storybook series?
The storybook series.
Oh, absolutely, the Drift series. Sorry. I mean, I like racing games to begin with.
I will play, and I will maybe one day finish Sonic and the Black Knight. I will only look at pictures of the Drift series and not play them.
You got to get that soft bread.
I forgot about that. It's so stupid.
Oh, I gotta trade you some old cheese. Come on.
When we figure that out, we're gonna trade bread and cheese and broken knives and whatever the hell. It's the dumbest thing. There's kids out there who are like playing Grand Theft Auto, and this some poor sack is sitting there like, no one will trade bread with me. And Sonic and the Black.
Visual design, the two people that Sonic's visual design is inspired by is Santa Claus and Michael Jackson. So there you go. Have fun.
Yes, I have read that.
Yeah.
Two people I do not want to let near children.
Oh no.
What did Santa do?
No.
He knows what he did.
He's kind of
It sees you when you're sleeping.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah, Mighty Max goes on his first adventure, complete with gratuitous teleportation abilities and way too many sexual puns for it to be a coincidence.
I noticed you
Like,
wrote that down. I was wondering, was it the line from Skullmaster saying, "You're prolapsing my tunnels"?
No, he says, "Eat me a hole" at one point.
He does. I have another quote. I have a quote here. I actually quoted it for
so
you, John.
close to release.
Yes. He's coming as prophesied to destroy me, and I'm so close to release.
The fact that Tim Curry's involved leads me to believe it's not a coincidence.
All right, Keith. So, what aside from that, what else happens in this episode of Mighty Max?
Speaking of Tim Curry, we get this awesome opening monologue from Skullmaster delivered by Tim Curry about his tunnels, my tunnels.
Yes.
It's such a classic 80s, because this
That's
is early
right,
90s.
minions. Pound away at my tunnels so I can have the sweet release I've been craving.
The Mega Man story as it appears in the US manual. It's Mega Man versus the powerful leaders and fighting forces of Monsteropolis, that strange, multifaceted land of robot-like humanoids. Brilliant scientist Dr. Wright.
Dr. Wright.
Dr. Wright.
From SimCity, we're talking about.
Yes, we're talking about Dr. Wright from Sin City.
When he's not giving out to you about your city having too much crime, he's building robots.
Yeah, he bleached his beard and hair white.
He dyed it green.
Oh, for Sin City.
Yes.
Okay, right, it's the other way.
Christmassy things. He's got two albatrosses pulling the sleigh, and Triclyde is Rudolph, although he doesn't actually pull anything. He's just hanging out with a red nose on. And they're all wearing Harley Davidson ape hangers.
Like, they would get ridden in the show. That's why they had those handlebars. I'm thinking the Western episode...
I think other creatures did.
Yeah, I think Mauser rode them one time.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Because Mauser's the top. Anyway...
So you've no weapons. You can't attack your fellow racers, but like you can, like, obviously if you bump into them at a high speed, they'll go flying off their bikes and stuff. The police are kind of an interesting one because like in games where they have a slipstream mechanic where you get behind a car in front of you and you can start going faster because they're breaking the wind for you. Breaking the wind.
And while we're on it, fuck Muffy. She's terrible.
Oh, well, you know what? I gotta say, Muffy in the earlier episodes was a lot softer than she became later on. Like, she became a real snob, whereas I found Francine to be a complete asshole most of the
she's terrible in that first episode.
Yeah.
Like they wanted her to be like the bully kind of at first.
I have it written down here when I was watching the first few minutes of it. I was like, Arthur should tell that bitch to fuck off back home to the Planet of the Apes. That soundtrack is one of my all-time favorite video game soundtracks. So whatever that is,
right?
That kind of dreamy '90s techno music, just with a bit of artistry behind it,
Yeah, or just loop the Daytona theme.
Hey, that guy's got to be looking for work.
Riptide! Doot, 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 doot.
You can put him underwater and have him go la 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 la.
Well, Pete, you got sandbagged with the Saturn. What'd you think about this game when it came out?
I had a Saturn. I didn't get sandbagged with it. I asked for it, and but it was a very hard time being a Saturn owner as a kid. There was never really like a killer app. There wasn't a lot to talk about. Like, I loved Knights, but no one was like coming over to hang out and play Knights. What's coming out on the Saturn? Virtual Fighter Kids.
I will hear no slander against Virtual Fighter Kids.
I love Virtual Fighter Kids, but like no one was coming over.
His art for this project is scary, and parts of it are clearly traced from previous Archie Sonic stuff, too.
Yeah, who's the guy who plays Falcon in the Marvel movies? Anthony Mackie, right?
Oh yeah, that's literally his face just traced.
It's a shot of him as Falcon traced into there.
He's gonna get sued again.
They just put a face helmet on it. It's so bad.
Someone tell Anthony Mackie.
One more sprinkle, that he decided that the characters are no longer echidnas, but an alien species called echidnas, ECHYD''NYAS.
This guy.
Just walk around a cactus that wasn't there the first run. It's like, all right, let me jump over it. I jumped too late. I'm dead. He would keep walking into it. It's like, what are you doing? On top of that, you are a hedgehog.
Well, that's the whole hedgehog's dilemma, though, isn't it? Hedgehogs can't find true love because they're all too prickly.
You like quills.
The hedgehog can never be buggered.
Yeah, the hedgehog's dilemma.
I had my 4-year-old yell at me, "Dad, stop breaking the pots!"